The Bucs' overall record here.
Well, Skip, it doesn't happen very often. That's why in the 100-year, 101-year history now, there have only been 4 quarterbacks to defeat all the teams, because normally the quarterbacks, Skip, they stay there for perpetuity. They retire or they go to some downtrodden team. We saw Johnny Unitas finish, if I'm not mistaken, Skip. I think he finished in San Diego.
He did.
I think Joe Namath was with a Ram.
He was.
And they weren't very good. So if they played the previous team, they weren't good enough or in a good enough situation to win. But you look at Peyton Manning, you look at, I think, Drew Brees and Brett Favre, probably the others, and no one really thought that Tom Brady, when he was in year 18, 19, would even have an opportunity to ever play against the Patriots. So this is probably a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But for me, Skip, I believe the Patriots are going to be a much better football team. And this is what we know. Coach Belichick, at some point in time, has given every quarterback he faced a problem. Maybe not the second time around, but the first time around. And this is the first time that Coach Belichick is actually playing a live game plan, preparing a live game plan for Tom Brady. Now, Skip, we know in practice, 2-minute drill or things of that nature, Coach Belichick probably would come up with schemes and says, okay, Tom, this is what I'm going to give you today, and then let's see how you handle it. And then he and Tom can sit down and say, well, I'm thinking the defensive coordinator is going to do this, because this is what I would do if you came out in this formation, in this down and distance, in this area of the field. So it was a great back and forth, and Tom Brady learned some valuable things. And so I think I don't consider this is the first time, Skip. I really think that Coach Belichick maybe has given Tom Brady too much information, because Tom knows things about Coach Belichick and what he likes to call in certain areas of the field. But I'm going to take the Patriots to win this game in the upset. The Bucs will be coming off a long West Coast trip. They play week 3. They play at the Rams. The Rams normally give them fit with that pass rush. Now they come all the way back to Tampa, try to prepare, and then get ready for New England. New England with their addition, Skip. Cam Newton is going to be another year further removed from that surgery. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Trent Brown at tackle. I think they made upgrades. They brought Nelson Aguilar in. They brought Nelson Bourne in. They've revamped this, and basically, Skip, this offense is going to be anew. This is not the offense that we saw last year. We're going to see a different offense. I believe they're better this year around. And so I'm going to take the Patriots in an upset. And I'm going to go and put them cases of due on it, because I don't want you to try to wiggle out because something unforeseen might happen. But we got due on it right now. I'm taking the Patriots in an upset.
How much due? Name it.
All right. Okay. Let's start. We're going to start with 3 cases, and we could possibly build our way up all the way up to like 5 or 6.
The sky is the limit on how many cases you want to lose to me on October 3rd, Sunday night, for our Monday show on October 4th. I cannot wait, because I'm going to be sitting in this very chair in all my glory, gloating about the maybe 10 cases of Diet Mountain Dew that I just won the night before from you, thanks to Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Shannon Sharpe. There is absolutely no way in heaven, no way in hell, that Tom Brady is going to lose to Bill Belichick in Foxborough, Massachusetts on Sunday night, October 3rd. It will not happen, because Tom Brady will not allow it to happen. That is his house more than it is Belichick's house. Right now, yes. Belichick's basically just squatting in Tom's old house. Tom Brady, I used to say, was 75% of the dynasty, and now I've gone up to, as I told you last year, 90% of the credit he deserves for the New England dynasty, because all he did in his first year away from Belichick was to completely recreate the Patriot way in Tampa Bay. And he turned a 7-9 team into a Super Bowl winner during a pandemic. I have never seen anything like it in the history of sports. And he showed you once and for all, I was the reason we were winning those championships in Foxborough. And he's going to go in there and put Belichick back in his place face to face. And he will delight in it. Now, I'm going to give you this. You mentioned the West Coast trip that they're going to have to undergo before they go to Foxborough. And I will give you this. on the Buccaneers schedule, to me, easily the most dangerous game is at the Rams. Again, it'll be Matt Stafford this time instead of Jared Goff. But we saw what Jared Goff did to the Tampa Bay defense at Tampa Bay last year, as you recall. And that, was it a Sunday or Monday night game? Okay, it was a night game. And it was a nightmare is what it was. And they have to go to the Rams on September 26th ahead of going to the Patriots. So the Rams are actually sitting pretty, because it's possible that at least Brady would be looking ahead to New England, if not just by osmosis, just by contagious effect, that the whole team will have its mind starting to head back toward Foxborough before they take care of business at Rams. So I give you that the Rams are in a really beneficial spot on the schedule. But I don't think that's going to help. I don't think it will help the Rams or the Patriots. I look at the schedule and I say, Shannon, it just might be the easiest schedule in the NFL, and Brady and company are the defending champs. So I know it's one game at a time, and I fully realize, we do this every year, that this schedule in December might look a lot different than it does in May.
Exactly.
Because of,
it does.
you know, injuries and this team rises, this team falls unexpectedly.
Right.
It always happens. But the harder I look at this schedule, the more I like Brady's chances of going 17-0. Oh, and if they go 17-0, then I have no idea how they wouldn't have 2 home games and a Super Bowl with a shot at getting to 20-0. I told you yesterday, it wouldn't shock me at all if they went 20-0. But the only sure shot on here, even sure than sweeping the division against your basic Atlantas and Carolinas and no breeze in New Orleans, the only sure shot on here for me is Tom Brady will beat the Patriots. He'll be somewhere around a 3.5, 4-point favorite. And I've got the score of that game 32-10, Brady over Belichick. And I'm here to suggest it won't feel much like a home game for Belichick, because I think the Patriot crowd is going to be half-hearted in their cheering for the home team. I think their emotions are going to be seriously mixed, and they won't be able to help themselves from cheering when Brady does throw 3 touchdown passes, maybe a couple to Gronkowski, just for the sake of the good old days. So I got 32-10, Brady over Belichick on October 3rd.
Well, Skip, I think the thing is that his return will be a lot different than some of the returns that we've seen in the NBA, where the player gets booed. We saw what happened with KD when he went back to OKC. We saw what happened to LeBron when he went back to Cleveland, and to a lesser degree, somewhat when he went back to Miami. So I believe the Brady homecoming will be less contentious than what we saw with those guys. And I also believe, Skip, the players, the Buccaneer players, will be highly motivated to make sure and try to secure this victory for Tom, because they know how much it's going to mean to him. Now, Tom Brady's going to say, hey, it's just, Skip, we know Tom. Tom is going to be cliche-ish in this one. It's just another game. It's just, we're just trying to get better. We just hope we can go in there and play well. But we know deep down what it would mean to him to go back, forget the Patriots. It's the guy that's standing on the sideline that's not going to take a snap that Tom Brady really wants to get back at. He loves his teammates that he played with. They wasn't the one that ran him out of town. No. It was the guy that's standing on the sideline with the cutoff hoodie that's doing the Subway commercials now, Skip, that ran him out of town. So he's going to want to get back at him. And I say this again, Skip, maybe Coach Belichick gave him too much information, because he's going to know that after 20 years of being with someone, that length of time, Skip, in those meeting rooms and going over situation after situation, because think about it, it's very seldom that you can catch Tom Brady in a situation that he's unfamiliar with, because Coach Belichick has done a great job, and Tom Brady has done a great job of not only listening, but being able to retain and recall info that he's received from Coach Belichick. But, Skip, I just believe with what they've done with this Patriots team, the way they've rebuilt it, if the guys that they brought in play to what we think they can play to, now we're not asking them to be all world. I don't expect Nelson Aguilar, Skip, to all of a sudden turn into Devontae Adams. I don't expect Kendrick Bourne to be Julio Jones. And I don't expect those 2 tight ends to be Darren Waller or Travis Kelce. I'm not expecting that, but I expect them to play better than what they had the last several years. Also going back, Skip, is Gronk. You know, Gronk don't really care. Gronk just like, hey, I'm here. Hey, Tommy, you want to get Coach Belichick? Hey, throw me a couple of tutties.
Yep.
Hey, I'll celebrate. I'll spike it. We'll have us a good old time.
Yep.
But this might be, obviously, Skip, you know, he's starting the Thursday night game. But this might be one of the most anticipated games in a very, very long time because we don't see it. I remember when San Francisco played the 49ers, went to Arrowhead to play Joe, and it was a big deal. I remember when Peyton went back to Indy, it was a big deal.
Yep.
Well, that's on that level because those quarterbacks was on Tom Brady level, and for the most part, we never thought we'd see that quarterback in a different color uniform, let alone play in his former team. But with all that being said, I'm taking the Patriots in an upset, Skip. I'm going to say the final score be 29-26.
And I have to ask, your quarterback will be who?
Oh, week 3 going to be Cam. You know Cam always do that thing to Brady. You know Cam always do it to Brady. Okay. Do it to him.
I get that, but you've been telling me for months on this show that Mac Jones was the guy in this group of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So you're not going to start him in week 1?
No, but I also told you this. I believe Cam starts week 1. I just don't believe he'll have the long leash that he had last year to play as bad as he did in some stretches. And Coach Belichick says, Cam is our quarterback, Cam is our quarterback. Given that you have Mac Jones, that you selected with the 15th pick in the draft, Skip, I don't believe Cam can play as bad as he played at spurts last year for as long as he did and maintain his job. But that'll only be the 3rd week of the season. So I don't see any reason. Well, excuse me, you're right. The 4th week of the season. I don't see any reason. I don't see how Cam loses his job the first month of the season. So Cam is the starting quarterback, and I think he runs his record of probably like, 2-0, 3-0 against Brady? Because you know he did it to him on the last second pass in New England. He did it to him on that Monday night when Tom Brady chased the official off the field. You remember that, Skip Bayless. He should have been fined for that. He accosted that official.
And I remind you, last year, Cam Newton's QBR ranked 30th out of 33 qualified quarterbacks.
That was
not
last year.
in Carolina anymore. He's not a young man anymore. I say good luck to you. In fact, you want to give me a couple of points? I don't know.
No, you're going to give me the line. You're going to give me the line.
Okay, I'll do it right now. I will give you whatever the line is for 5 cases right now.
Do it. Done.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you.
Done.
Okay,
Done.
now I want you to tell me what do you think Tampa Bay's record will be this year?
I already told you. I told you yesterday, 13-4.
Well, I thought maybe you'd sleep on it and come to your senses.
No. Skip, there's a reason why only 2 teams have gone into the playoffs with an undefeated regular season record. The 72 Dolphins and the 07 Patriots.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. It's extremely hard. You have to be fortunate. Win a couple of close games, Skip. Last-second field goal. Somebody misses a last-second field goal. And you have to maintain great health.
You do.
Great health. Remember, you're adding an extra game now, Skip.
Okay.
So for me, I'm gonna stick with the 13-4.
Okay. I'm going to stick with 17-0 because I find it hard. And again, you told me yesterday what your 4 were. I think you had Rams. I know you had Colts, Bills, and I don't know what your other one was.
Hold on. I forgot. That Monday night game, rematch. We're going to get you this time. You got off the hook last time, the Giants.
Oh, well, are you going to go to 5?
Nope.
No?
Skip, look, here's the thing. See, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to pin me down. I'm saying 13-4, and if I'm off a game, well, they won a game that I thought they were going to lose, but you said they were going to lose. But if they lose a game I thought they were going to win, then you hold that against me. I'm just going to say, look, of those 17 games that you see on the screen right now, the Buccaneers will lose 4 of those ball games. How about that?
All right. And what achievement tortured Brady the most when he failed to grasp it in the end? It was to go 19-0, right? It still haunts him to this day.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
What if he could eclipse that with 20-0 this year to just cap it off? Wouldn't that be the final biggest feather in the cap to go 20-0? I'm sure Tom Brady is thinking about that right now. Obviously, you have to take one game at a time. You got to get your health breaks. I get that. But this schedule, in fact, I saw the ESPN analyst Mike Clay. He graded this schedule the easiest in pro football this year. Just on last year's win-loss records, it's the fourth easiest. So you've got that sitting out there for Brady to shoot at. And again, I give you danger at Rams, and then they have 3 in a row danger games in late November, early December. They go at Indy, at Atlanta, and Buffalo at home. But do you really think that those teams will beat Tom Brady? I don't. And go ahead.
Well, Skip, you know this. Division games are a lot tougher. Sometimes, teams are not very good within your division. But when you play a division opponent, something about the familiarity. Now, there are going to be maybe some situations there's no Drew Brees. Carolina has a new quarterback. Matt Ryan has a new weapon. We'll see if Julio still remains there after June 1st. But division games are a lot tougher sometimes than we give them credit for. And the teams might be terrible outside the division. But it's something about playing a division opponent, being familiar with that. So for me, Skip, I like I said, 13. Skip, you make it seem like I said they're going to be, 10-7. 13-4 is a very good schedule. I mean, a very good record considering you got an extra game.
I got it, but we're light years apart when you got 4 losses and I got none. And
you out your mind, though.
Okay, let me throw this back at you very quickly. I want you just to react to this. This is Tom Brady throwing to, let's start at the top, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. Then let's go to the tight ends. There's this guy Gronk. There's Cameron Brate. O.J. Howard will be back.
Correct.
Then let's keep going down the list. There's Scotty Miller. There's Tyler Johnson. And they added Gio Bernard as a third down catchback, a James White type, right?
Yes.
And then you got Fournette and Rojo running the ball, as well as my little man from Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn, if he ever gets out of the doghouse. And then you've got a top 5 offensive line whose starting right guard was injured in the Super Bowl. Alex Kappa will be back in place of Aaron Stinney, who can still back up any of the positions in the offensive line. So my point is, what's not to love about that? Is that not dynamic? Is that not juggernaut to you?
Yeah, it is, Skip. But here's you know why the strength of schedule is so easy? They play the Cowboys. They play the NFC East. Anybody that has that division that's playing that division has an easy schedule.
I'm with you. They got to give me, and they threw my team to the Wolves in game number 1 at Tampa Bay on Thursday night. That's
good,
just not
and I wanted
fair.
to feast.
That's
it
just
is fair.
Wrong place, wrong time. Okay, the defense last year for the Bucs didn't even spring to life until the third to last game. They weren't very good until at Breeze, at Rodgers, and then Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, right?
Okay.
And you don't think they'll carry that momentum into this year because everybody is back. You thought Shaq Barrett would be gone. You thought Sue would be gone. And all of a sudden, they are back because they all want to run it back. And there's still a Vita Vea. There's still a JPP. Obviously, there's a Devin White. There's a Levante David. And that secondary was very young last year, and it will only get better by the snap. It's loaded. And I think Todd Bowles is right up there with Bill Belichick as a guy who can coach and call defenses. So what's not to love about that defense now?
I know, Skip, for me, it's hard for defenses to maintain that level of intensity. We've seen offenses be able to maintain a level of greatness more so than defenses because the 85 Bears statistically were better in 86, but that's the only one. You look at the Steelers defenses, you look at the 2000 Ravens, you look at the 02 Bucks, you look at the 12 Seahawks, Skip, the next year, they weren't quite the same as they were in previous years. They were still very good, but they were not the elite, what we remember, with the exception of the Bears. So, Skip, I understand what you're saying. They brought everyone back, and it seemed to start clicking, and they played well. But we're going to see if they're able to maintain that level moving forward. Because the thing about the offseason, Skip, everybody goes back and they watch tape, and they see what the teams what the teams did that had success against the Buccaneers. And you're going to see more of that. You're going to have to guard more of that than what you saw in years past. So I'm not saying they're not going to be a very good team, and they could ultimately wind up being back out here in LA and SoFi competing for a Super Bowl. But I don't believe it's going to be as easy as you think, or maybe some of the other pundits may think. It's going to be a very difficult road because repeating, that's why we've had so few champs repeat, because it's a lot difficult to win the second one than it is the first one.
Shannon Sharpe, a 44-year-old quarterback in Tampa Bay is going to make you have another long, hard NFL season sitting across from me.
Well, the question I got for Tom, how many regular season wins would you be willing to take off your resume in order to win this game, the fourth game of the season, October 3rd, 2021? How many games would you take off your resume in the win column to win this one? How many do you think, Skip? 10, 15?
It'd be an interesting discussion. Yeah, he probably would have something to say there. Just so you know, Shannon Foxbet has the Bucks as 3-point favorites for this one. So interesting. You're going with the Patriots. Interesting there.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.